Hi, my name is Alexey and I want to show you a breakdown of this project. We have a soap animation and bubbles and small bubbles that are interacting with each other. This shot is inspired by a Dove commercial I saw somewhere in feed, so I'm sorry, can't provide you a link to that piece. Maybe you will see it, find it, and can compare. There is a final project, but before I will show you the base principles of how this project was created. Let's start from building a shape, sphere, extrude, then I have, let me change the shape, so not to copy like pixel to pixel, shape by shape, it would be more fun. Extrude, and we have these two shapes. Create an overlay, maybe we can add some caps, creating volume builder, volume mesher, one shape, two shape, and instead of union them, we will use, of course, subtract. Increasing the mesh density by lowering the voxel size. And now you see that we have this step of wireframe. That's why we need to go to our circle shape and increase the intermediate point number, for example for 32. Also, we can use a remesh, Alt, remesh, waiting for calculation, pretty fast conversion, so I hope everything would be okay. And B, not perfectly. Let me go to our volume mesher, maybe increase adaptiveness. And once again, much clearer result. I'll hit C just for tutorial to not waste computing time on this remeshing thing. This is ready. Now we need to create two more colliders that will be creating a limit for our inner bubble things. Changing the orientation, radius, decreasing height, and we should put it just in front of this per thing. But as we have a remesh based on extrude, we see it has offset by Z, so we need to put it into front, and now it's perfectly centered, creating this soap and colliders. Putting remesh there, now we can create a symmetry. Putting here, cylinder offset to 50, it depends on your extrude value. Putting here, and we need to find a proper value, proper axis. I think Z should be okay. So this type of setup. Select both of them, simulation, collider, both sides. And we can hide this symmetry because we don't need this. Now we're creating two types of spheres, the big one and the small one. Changing to hexahedron for more regular grid. Creating cloner, changing to radial mode because we need to create a ring of big bubbles, small bubbles, so they can interact with each other. Of course, too much, I think 20 should be okay, maybe increasing segments to something like 64. Pretty dense. You know that the denser mesh, the smoother it will be in simulation. Increasing like this, and it would be soft, duplicating, rigid, decreasing to a very small value, increasing the quantity, maybe not 2, but for this tutorial I will up to higher value, decreasing the segment count just to speed up the simulation time. Radius, and we need much more of this, maybe like that. One more cloner, decreasing in X. A lot of clones here. And now all we need to do is to add proper tags. Rigid body, rigid, and cloth. I will add a balloon and increasing maybe bendness and a bit stretchiness. Hitting play just to check the speed of pre-calculation. Yeah, everything works, but going down, not what we want. Let me decrease here to 16 I mean. Control D, simulation, scene, gravity 0, and add a bit iterations to decrease the stretchiness, the softness of all our elements, and upping the fidelity of calculation. So now we hit play and nothing is happening. We see almost the same performance, but with higher accuracy in calculation. Now we need to add attractor and turbulence, increasing attractor, they start to move, extending timeline, maybe 600, and a bit turbulence, hitting play, and you see how everything is happening. We need to up the attractor, so the strength of the attractor should be higher than turbulence one, maybe 10, because we don't need a high deformation of our these soft bubbles. Yeah, everything is going great. Now we can hit a creating keyframe, adding a vibrate tag, creating keyframe at frame 0 just to freeze this position, and so every time we have this mesh positioned and rotated just how it was. Rotation, maybe not position, or maybe just a little bit, maybe low frequency, and like this. And now we have this bouncing, moving, and all that stuff. We have some problems, so even we created a keyframe, it's overwritten. So we're going back, deleting our tag, and put just regular keyframes here, like this, maybe even without movement, like this, and the last one 0, 0, 0 keyframe. And now we have this interesting effect of part of our particles would be going away, then going back. Bubbles are interacting, squishing, you see here, and the more bubbles you get, the more interesting effect would be. This is the base principle, so let's jump into the original file and check what we got here in materials and lighting. The same. A lot of small spheres, we have big spheres here, maybe two variants, a bit of random, so we have a rotation for our clones, just the same, two type of spheres here. Also remesh, symmetry, just the same, absolutely the same logic. Attractor, turbulence, higher value, colliders, hiding, launching the render view, finding some angular shot like this, and let's dive into the lighting. We have a top lighting that is covering most of our geometry and creating this soft look, and we see that we have this dark zone that should be lighted up to bottom immediately. Very low intensity value and no any changing in some additional settings, just the default one, playing with intensity and a little bit in color. The side, we get this initial specular, and front that creating a little bit of front facing specular. I think I should do it more carefully, maybe with some gradient, because in some situation we have this pretty noticeable element here. And there is one sphere that is kind of rebel still in the center of geometry, but it's okay, not a big deal. The same settings, 25 in interaction and no gravity. Turning everything back, and two type of materials. No base color, the default reflection, the default transmission, and thin wallet because it's a SO bubble, and a little bit thin film that I founded values that match my settings and scale of a project. So it's up to you to match this IR and thickness value according to your space of this, the scale of your project, I'm sorry. Now the next one is just reflection and a little bit surface, subsurface. You can find a balance between color, weight and scale, because the higher scale, the more light it would be getting and passing through its surface. The less value, less noticeable this effect would be. Also, if we're decreasing the weight, we can find a balance and match and mix it with the base settings, base color too. So that's all. Let me show you once again what we get in a result. The project file will be available at Boosty, and I think maybe I put it to Patreon, so you can subscribe and dive deep directly into specific settings and maybe finding something interesting. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.